All right, welcome to the Pangburn Philosophy podcast. This is Travis Pangburn. Today I'm sitting down with our Director of Media, Armin Navabi.
Hello.
How's it going, Armin?
Good, how are you?
Good. Armin and I are actually sitting in the new Pangburn Philosophy studio, which is really cool.
Yeah.
We've had this studio built on the penny. Didn't spare too much expense, all recycled materials. And, but yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited to start doing some video casts, and Armin's going to be involved with that in a big way.
Yeah, and we're going to take live calls and answer questions and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we're going to do a lot of new, cool programming. I'm really looking forward to the live call-in aspect of what we're going to be doing. But we thought we would turn on the podcast equipment today and just talk a little bit about what we do at Pangburn Philosophy and some of the hurdles we have to climb over and some of the mountains we have to climb in order to just do business and do the kind of things that we do. And, you guys always have such great questions, legitimate questions and sometimes, you're put in situations like if an event's canceled or something like that, and you're just kind of at a loss for words as to why it happened like this. So we're hoping to do a few of these segments just to give some transparency and to give you guys an idea of what it's like to produce events,
right?
Like we do.
Yeah, one question people ask all the time is like, why the tickets are expensive? Why don't you release the videos?
Right.
Why didn't you tell us about this? Why? Yeah. So there's a lot of questions, and I think this is a really good way to be transparent about that and show people what goes behind the scenes sometimes. Yeah. As much as we can, because sometimes we can't. There are some things that we can't.
Yeah, there's some things we obviously can't allude to because for contractual reasons with our partners that we work with. But my goal is to be as transparent as possible because ideally I would love to see more organizations doing what we're doing, putting together events, bringing communities together that are interested in intellectual discourse, and just having fun with it. That is the thing that gets lost so much in this atmosphere, the fun aspect. It's like all of a sudden when someone starts having fun, it's like everyone's like, they don't know what to do. They're up in arms and they're like, well, why are we having fun doing this? This is supposed to be a war of ideas. Well, even though it is a war of ideas that we're in often with each other, this is a war. I liken it more to kids playing in the playground. We're in an intellectual playground and we're playing war and trying to figure out what are the best ideas and what are the worst ideas. And I think it's okay to have fun with that. This is an exciting time right now. It's very exciting. And I love having fun with the events. I love doing introducing these speakers as if they're WWE wrestlers. Like I just think there's a lot of fun that we can have with this, and it lightens the mood and allows people to be a little more loose. But let's get on to some questions. Armin's going to play the role of our devoted fans and the audience who comes to see our events, and we'll see how well he does. Pressure's on you, Armin.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the number one question that people constantly want to ask. Why are you not releasing the videos?
I shouldn't laugh because this is a legitimate complaint, and it's not one that I take lightly.
Right.
It's become a bit of a joke now because now when we're working at the office here, I'm still working away in my office and everyone's on their way out. It's like the last thing everyone says before they go away is, Travis, by the way, release the fucking tapes. But it's not a joke because I know how much you guys all want to see this content and you want to see all of the content all the time and you want access to it. And even if you had to pay for it, you want access to it. So what I will say about the Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris videos is that it is a collective decision amongst more than just even a few people whether we release, how we release content if it is in fact filmed. Not all content can be filmed or even recorded in any way. So it's my job as the producer to work with all parties involved in that decision. When you look at someone like Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson, they have many different people managing their schedules and managing their business in the best way that they see fit for their client. And I want to work with them as well as I can and be as kind and generous as I can to come to a consensus as to what is the best way forward when coming to decisions like releasing content like we have created for the Vancouver events with Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, and also in Dublin and London, which I have to say, in case this hasn't been clear, we will be releasing this content. Right. I'm so excited to release it. But the reason why there's delays is because not because I necessarily have the ultimate pull in when and how this gets released, but I have to work with all parties involved in order to make sure that everyone's okay with how and when we will release the content, because it also has to do with what the author's schedules are like as well, because there is a lot of work that comes onto their plate when we do release content like this, because they want to do review videos sometimes, and they want to really give the content its full worth. So the reasons why it takes so long, the main reason is that there's so many governing bodies that all have invested interest in the content, and sometimes there are parties that feel differently than others as to when that content should be released. Right.
I mean, and what people need to, I think, understand is that we are on the side of fighting for it to get released side of this whole thing, the negotiation that is happening. And there's sometimes even some people don't want the content to be released ever. Yeah. And we're always trying to figure out how to get this content to our fans and followers.
So one thing I will say about that, Armin, is that yes, I want to get the content out to the people as quickly as possible, but I also want to make sure these events are sustainable.
Right.
And there is a lot of evidence to show us that once you announce that an event will be released at a later date on YouTube or whatever platform you choose, it does or can hurt ticket sales.
Right.
And this might not seem obvious to people, because there are a lot of benefits to being there in the venue experiencing the event, but it is an actual consideration that has to be taken in. And we have tried the live stream option for different events in the past before, and it doesn't really bring in the numbers that we had hoped it would. And the fact that could potentially be keeping someone out of the theater that could have been coming to the event, it didn't seem worth the risk of losing people who could have actually been there at the event, getting a book and getting a book signed.
So somebody might ask, like, is this just about sales then?
Well, it's one of the important considerations. I don't think it's just about any certain consideration. It's just there are many considerations. This is just one of the main considerations that always comes up. Are our ticket sales going to be hurt? And this happens with the Vancouver Canucks hockey games as well. It's like they block out sometimes the home games so that people will kind of want to go to the arena and see the game as opposed to just watching it on their TV at home.
And I think the way I look at it is that if we don't find a way to make this sustainable, that means less events.
Right. So and that's the thing. Like if as the production company, what we are here at Pangburn Philosophy, if we can't find a sustainable way to do this, then it's like, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to stop producing these? It doesn't look like anyone's coming out of the woodwork yet, at least, to invest their money in intellectual discourse the way we are. So it's like, I want to keep doing that, and I want to make it work so that I don't want Pangburn Philosophy to be this big corporate giant filthy rich swimming in money. It's like I don't want that at all. Like, we live in our shack office here, and we create these events, and we hope and pray, even if it is to an imaginary God.
I don't pray. You pray.
I don't pray either, but maybe for some of the very undersold events, maybe I'll say a quick prayer, but nothing ever happens. But yeah, I just want these events to be successful for the speakers, but for us, but mainly for you guys. Like I want this to be something that you can all look forward to, being able to attend events like this in the future. I don't want this just to be this blip in history where this was possible. I want this to be a continued success. I'm starting to say this at live events when I take the stage, that you guys are actually the producers here. We are just the event organizers. And I want to make that clear. It's like, we're already working for you guys. Like, we are at your beck and call. We want to create content that you're interested to see, as long as it falls in line with the philosophy, which is let art and science inspire. As long as we're inspiring communities with art and science, we will do anything we can to do that for you guys, to offer you those inspirational opportunities.
Right. One thing I realized after joining Pangburn Philosophy was how much work and investment and effort goes behind it. I don't know if people understand how much planning and how much stress and headache you go through, like the entire team go through, like months ahead before an event starts, and how much work on the day of the event goes behind the scenes. Do you want to like talk a little bit about the challenges and the work that goes to starting an event?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it starts for me just waking up in the morning and having an idea. And I usually wake up in the morning, and I've said this on the podcast before, with an idea of how can I reduce suffering on this planet, and specifically suffering to children. And I think educating adults with science is one of the best ways that we can do that. But education in general for adults and allowing them to be better parents is one of the best ways to put our foot forward. And having these large, modes of intellectual discourse, I think all of this bleeds out to everyone else, whether it be through chatter on social media, a lot of Facebook chatter. It's hitting this is hitting people that wouldn't normally be hit by this. It's not necessarily people who have read all of Sam Harris's books or all of Jordan Peterson's books. It's people that they see a conversation about a subject that was talked about on stage at one of these events, and then that'll start a new thread of ideas and exchanging ideas, and then all of a sudden you see that someone has been educated that circumcising your son was actually a brutal act that wasn't necessary. It's like these conversations that are happening on stage lead to this kind of discourse on social media and even within the family circles. So I wake up in the morning, I come up with an idea for an event, and then the next steps for me is to think about how can we put this event together where it'll be meaningful enough and inspirational enough for people to spend their hard-earned money to want to see this conversation happen or this event happen. So that's how I get things going. And then if I do convince myself that this is worth pursuing, then we start looking at logistics. We look at what could this event look like? Is this going to be in a gladiator style arena where it's going to be two intellectuals going at it back and forth to each other on some issues that are really important right now, politics or whatever, or is it going to be an event where we're in kind of a community space, and this is going to be very much like the crowd's allowed to holler and kind of like back in the old days how they used to do debates and people would holler and cheer and stand up and cheer for their favorite argument that's made. So just the whole creative aspect of how this can look and where it could be happening. And also tuning into the demographics in each city of where it would be possible. Does there seem to be a hunger for this? And there's lots of different research techniques you can use to figure this out. And then the logistical aspects of figuring out whether the speakers are available, getting in touch with the speakers, building relationships with the authors and speakers and artists, whoever you're working with, is highly important.
Right.
And the speakers are risking a lot in essentially putting their trust in you to be able to deliver a great event. And because no speaker wants to be a part of a failed event or a canceled event or an undersold, underwhelming event. They want to be part of an event that could change the world. And that's what we strive for, and that's what we try to create in the beginning stages of creating an event.
Do you really think these events will change the world? Like, how is it going to end up reducing suffering?
Right. So this is the question, and this is how it does. If we fill an arena in the future, let's say with 25,000 people who come together to hear a discussion, let's say about something political, and the future political leaders are paying attention, and they see that it is popular to think and to appreciate good arguments, as opposed to having this giant gathering of people who are just there because, a political figure happens to be there representing the Republican Party. You can look at these huge gatherings and you can come to the consensus that one thing we do know for sure is that it is becoming popular to think. So having a leader, a political leader who thinks, which the United States does not have right now, but having a political leader who thinks is popular. So once that becomes popular, then we're going to start seeing platforms that are based around good ideas and well thought through policies, because that's what that constituency is going to demand.
Right. But a lot of the people in the audience or people that are watching these events, they say like you're saying you're trying to promote science, but this speaker that you invited, this speaker is anti-science. This speaker is like, why would you be promoting this guy? This guy doesn't deserve a platform, and you basically promoting an idea that doesn't deserve to be promoted. And what would you say to people like that?
Right. That's why I don't call myself a promoter when doing this. I call myself a creative producer. So I'm producing an opportunity for bad or good ideas to be presented on a stage so that the audience can have an opportunity to reason what's happening. So if you have someone who has a lot of bad ideas on stage with a reasonable person who has a fair amount of good ideas, and they're able to reason, there is an opportunity for concessions to be made. And perhaps the bad ideas will move closer to good ideas as they're actually reasoned. So I think there's lots to be discovered, especially in front of an audience, because people don't want to be made a fool in front of a large audience. They want to represent their ideas the best that they can. And if they get caught in a position where they have to concede a point, that's what we want to see happen in front of an audience. And that's why the stakes are so high.
Right.
And I think this is the most beautiful thing of the live event model, as opposed to, let's say, the Dave Rubin model, just sitting in a studio. I think there is value to that model as well. But with the live event model, you have another aspect happening here, and that's the fourth wall, the audience. The audience plays such a big role in their murmurs, in their snickers, when they laugh out loud at certain points. It's like you have this new gauge when you're in the discussion as to what's going on or how they're feeling about what you're saying. And so that's one of the reasons why the risks are so high.
Well, another thing about the live model is that, I don't know why, but it kind of, I think this might be irrational, but for some reason it signals to the world in a much more powerful way that these ideas are powerful. Like when you get a video and you put it on YouTube and it gets 20 million views, people are like, oh wow, 20 million views. But if you have an audience of 8,500 people, a lot of people pay attention, like, wow, these people actually, 8,500 people showed up to watch this live event. And I don't know why, but that signals to the world that these kind of thoughts, these kind of debates are more popular. How many people are, the Dublin event that we had, 8,500 people, how many people are reporting, how many people are shocked, how many people are noticing that these events are bringing this many people. So even for the people that don't show up to these events, it's signaling to them in a much more powerful way that these ideas are popular, and people, like you said, it is becoming popular to think. Yeah. One question a lot of people I've noticed ask online is that complain about is that, like, sometimes the ticket prices keeps changing. Like it's expensive and then it comes down and we're like, well, I already bought the ticket. Why is it now cheap now? So is there a reason for that?
It's something we try to avoid in any kind of live event promotion because it doesn't seem fair.
Right.
Because, you buy a premium ticket right when the date is announced. You buy it. You're the first to buy it. You buy it for the what seems to be the premium price. And then if there happen to be some premium tickets left while we're like just a couple days out from the event, sometimes the marketing team will decide that the best foot forward here is to drop the prices for some of the tickets in order to help sell more tickets and help the event survive. And this is a reality of live events. We do try to avoid it as much as we can, but it does happen.
Right. And
the reason for that is just, we might have a big hole in a seating section and we're a couple days away, and the amount of action we've had on the ticketing website tells us that there's a lot of people hoping and clicking and wishing that there was a cheaper ticket option. So we try to take that into consideration when we're setting the ticket prices off the very beginning. And we kind of set it, and sometimes it works out fine and we don't have to do that. But there are times that we do have to adjust, and it just helps with the bottom line and to make sure that we collect enough funds in order either not to lose too much money or able to break even.
But a lot of people ask, why are they sometimes so expensive? And like, they might not understand the costs behind it.
Yeah, these events are extremely expensive to produce. And, the speaking fees and the venues itself are the most expensive aspects. So it's always a struggle figuring out the best combination of speakers in what venue. So if you don't have the most famous speaker in the larger venue, it's not going to make sense, right? So when speakers start getting more popular and there's a higher demand for people to see them, we start seeing the venues getting bigger and the speaking fees going up. So it's always a struggle of, okay, is this possible? The speaking fees are like this. Can we climb to get to where we need to in order to make a little bit of money or to break even? And if we do, what do we need to sell tickets for? So the ticket prices always are based on hopefully breaking even. Right. That's what we go for. And like we want to produce these events so that we break even from the Pangburn Philosophy standpoint, and that we can keep the engine running, because then it allows us to keep going and producing more events. But it sometimes can be very terrifying from a producing standpoint, because you're dealing with so many costs and you're risking so much in order to just survive. But this is, and I talk about this all the time with our staff, it's like, this is the kind of war and battle we're in. It's currently the model we're using, but I can see different ways of us going about producing these events in the future.
Yeah.
And even some ways to produce these events where the tickets are free. And I'm sure everyone listening right now is like, oh, free. I love free. We will have to make a global commitment, as a global group in order to make this happen. But I think it's like there's an opportunity here to do this like micro payment model where everyone buys like a very small, very cheap monthly subscription, but that will all go into a pool in order for us to produce events all around the world like we have been doing, but making them free and in larger venues so that more people can come out. And it's not just like, and a lot of people do make some comments sometimes on social media being like, well, these prices, obviously only the super elite can come to these, because quite honestly, sometimes the costs are so high to produce the event that the ticket prices are just, they're really high. And it's like, you have to like, I guess I'm not going to go on that trip I wanted to go on this year. I'm going to buy a ticket for this event. And I want to get away from that. I want everyone to be able to come out and enjoy these events, and hopefully for free one day. And I think there is a model that I want to try out, and it's kind of like a crowdfunding model. And then, essentially we would be managing the event for the crowd that funded the event. Right. But I think if we got on board globally, if everyone kind of collectively put their $1 in per month or whatever, we could create free events. Right. And I think that would be amazing. And that, as much as we're changing the world right now, I believe this would ramp it up 100-fold.
Yeah, that would be amazing. One thing I wanted to point to that you mentioned is I don't know if people understand the amount of risk you're taking, because if you get that formula wrong about the cost and the revenue coming in, or if you miscalculate it and there's not that much demand for actually the amount that you're going to lose because of getting that, just a slight calculation wrong, that's going to be just guessing something wrong. It could be huge. I don't know how much, but it's huge.
More than an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Right. And so every time you're doing this, you're actually taking a huge risk on each one of these events. Yeah. And this is, and I don't know how you managed to make it work, but this is the reason why you don't see other people doing this.
Yeah,
right now. Yeah.
It is. You need someone completely insane who has lost their mind to be doing something. But in all honesty, I want to see more people investing their money in this way, investing in intellectual discourse, because I think there's a severe lack of it.
Right.
And there is money to be made at this in different ways. And, with a successful event, you can make some money.
Right.
And I'm talking like if you sell out an event, which is hard to do, but it can be done, you can make some money. And luckily we've had a few events that have kept us just above that death line and that have helped us out enough so that we can keep the office going, keep everyone working and building a brighter future, I guess.
Right. And in the model that you're thinking that we do free events, if there is enough support for it and people crowdfund it and with very low amount from all around the world, that would open the door for us to even go to places where people wouldn't go. Right now, we're looking at major cities and great big countries because that's where the tickets will sell. But I think there's a lot of the globe that is being ignored because tickets won't sell there, or people can't even afford tickets there. But if that model works, then we might be able to take these speakers to places where people are not even used to having events like this coming to them.
And where they need it most.
Yes. Yeah.
That's something I think about every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to sleep. I'm thinking about who needs our help most. Right. Who needs to be shown the good ideas.
Right.
And how do we get to them? And creating online content is great as long as it's translated, right?
Right.
And I spend money, and people tell me I'm crazy for this, but I spend money on Facebook advertising targeting the people that don't like what I have to say. And because I think some good ideas that I have, there are forces out there that want to keep those ideas from people who fall under a certain ideological following.
Right.
So, there are ways to invest your money to help with this war of ideas. And I think one of the greatest ways is what we're doing. Right. With the live events.
So how is this going to play out? Like, what are some things that are coming out? What are some, what's the future of Pangburn Philosophy?
Wow. I mean, for me, I want to be able to continue working my ass off for humanity and, helping to eradicate anti-science and unreasonable behavior all around the planet. And I will keep opening new divisions of Pangburn Philosophy. Just anything I can do, anything I can think up that is going to help other people who have a hard time getting clean fucking water. Just they spend, there are some villages in the Philippines that spend 90% of their village workforce just collecting water and collecting food. It's like there's no time to think on deep issues and to better yourself from an ideological standpoint. It's like, I want to help. I just want to help people. That's all I want to do. And I want the people that come to work with Pangburn Philosophy, our speakers, our authors, just anyone, I want them to be on board with helping.
Right.
I want everyone to buy in to helping those who need it most. And that is a huge passion of mine. And that's what drives me into the office and to risk my money and my family's money by putting on these live events, because I do think they make a difference.
Right. And to anybody that wants to keep up, be up to date on how, I'm not exactly sure how are you going to do all the things that you're planning on doing, because you have like a lot of vision. But to keep people updated, I say just going to pangburnphilosophy.com and sign up for our newsletters, because there's going to be a lot of things coming up, and I think that's the best way that we could reach out to people. And there's anything else?
And this podcast too, like having this podcast as an outreach to all of you is really important to me. And if you go to our Patreon, you can support the podcast as well. It helps us deliver better communication to all of you. We are building up our customer service department as fast as we can. But everything we do is so much hanging on how well our live events are doing. So, we're trying, everyone's working so much overtime to keep things going. We've had some unfortunate staff turnover lately, and it's just, I just want to create a team and to have enough people so that you're all well taken care of from a customer service standpoint.
Okay.
And I think once we get to that point, you guys are all going to be 100% satisfied with this product.
Well, one thing you mentioned is that you want to get more, two-way communication with our fans and followers. You want to get feedback, and I think that this podcast, is going to be a good way for people to call in and basically tell us what they think and tell us which directions they want the Pangburn Philosophy to move, and any suggestions that they have. I think that would be a great way to get feedback from the community and even be more transparent with them at the same time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the newsletter is a great way as well to be in touch with us. And also, we do have a new program, our membership program, which is on our website. And to become a member, it's kind of our most exclusive thing that you can become. There is a resume submission and kind of a cover letter submission aspect to it. And there is a $20 charge for the application fee, just to make sure that all of our executive, including myself, gives your application a thorough read through. And becoming a member gives you opportunities at paid work with Pangburn Philosophy. It gives you volunteer opportunities. It gives you even producing credit opportunities. There's a lot of different things that come with being a member, but your specific membership will be tuned. It'll be dialed into exactly what your resume states and what you can bring to the table. So
okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is new. Armin's like, I didn't know about this. It's like I created this just a few days ago.
Right.
But yeah, you can find it on our website. The website's always changing. Give us feedback on absolutely anything. On the structure of the events. We've been getting so much positive feedback on how we've been putting the events together, but there's always room for improvement. And especially customer service wise, we want to really improve with our customer service. We just need more people working on it, because it can be slow sometimes.
Well, sometimes people give this feedback which sounds really good, but then I read it like, it's not that simple, right? So I think this call-in would be really a good idea, because when they give the feedback, if we think their feedback is not going to work, we could in live discussion could tell them like, well, this is why that might be a challenging thing to do.
And the key word here is transparency.
Right.
I want to be as transparent as the people who are paying their fucking hard-earned money to come to our events as possible.
Right.
And anyone who's paying any kind of money, or even caring to listen and follow what we're doing, it's like I want them to make sure that they're satisfied in what they're getting from us. Because like I said, they are the producers, we are the organizers.
Yeah, well, as transparent as legally possible.
Exactly.
Right.
There are some things. I mean, if you call in to tell me like what brand of toilet paper Sam Harris uses, like I'm contractually obligated not to tell you that, but it's a very specific brand, if you can imagine. But anyways, Armin, thanks. We got to do this again. We'll do more of these. Thanks for coming on the podcast. And everyone else, thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the events, and let art and science inspire.